Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 15th order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place due to the outbreak of the coronavirus, this meeting of the Town of Berlin Select Board will be conducted by a remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time. The Town of Berlin will use best efforts to post an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting on the town's webpage, the town's YouTube channel, and approved minutes will be posted to mytowngovernment.org. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to attend the virtual meeting may attend via the Zoom webinar platform in one of two ways, with both audio and video access or by telephone audio only. Should any board member have technical difficulties and/or lose access to the meeting will recess for a period of time to see whether access can be restored. If not, the meeting will be continued to another date agreed to by a majority of the board or adjourned until our next scheduled meeting. Okay, and we have approval of the January 4th open session meeting minutes. Questions, comments, motions?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Hearing no comments, then we'll take a vote. Keefe, aye.
Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
That's unanimous. And correspondence, Margaret?
Mary has prepared a very nice letter to our legislators, our new legislators, regarding the discussion points from last week's meeting and congratulating again on their election. And that is in your shared, your agenda folder for tonight.
Yep, they look fine.
And you got my email, Mary? Okay. Yep. And there anything else to be said, or?
I added your contact information. I don't know if you saw that later in the day, but I added, if you're asking for theirs, I added yours.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Also, I didn't know if you wanted to add that you could provide them with routine reports as well.
You talking to Margaret?
All of you. I mean, the ones that go to the Clinton item quarterly or the, whichever. Just food for
Board's
thought.
prerogative.
Yeah, I mean, if whatever you guys prefer.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense as things come up. Then I think that we should loop in Meg and John to see how they can help, or if something's gotten stalled, then I'd rather over communicate than assume that people have something when they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we can decide format, whatever, but.
Well, and if Margaret is really putting together a list of just sort of general communication, when we do communications, here's the places you should say, we could just make sure that their contact information is on it, so that as you figure out what's appropriate, you can sometimes send things to them and sometimes not.
That's true.
It would be really nice, through the chair, it'd be really nice. And I was afraid to ask last week because they weren't even installed yet. So I think it would be wonderful if they'd be willing to do annual legislative updates with the board. And I know that they do few and far between, but if they did annual legislative updates, it would give kind of this recurring thing to let them talk with the town about what's going on and the board talk with them about what's happening in town.
So what time of year would you suggest that happen?
Whatever it's convenient for them. If they want to pick a time of year that they could come together to the board's meeting, I think it would be really nice. So I don't know if that's something you want to put in the letter or if we just talk about that with them.
Could we invite them to coffee talk at least once a year? Maybe right before the end of summer, or as we swing into summer, like a June 1, March. Yeah, June.
That's a good idea. I like the idea of coffee talk. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
And that could be an opportunity for a legislative update.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a good feeling for exactly like when the cycles are at the Capitol.
So the coffee talks are quarterly, so we could ask them what works best for them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and plus it gives people an opportunity, those who come to Coffee Talk, and, on playback, that people could actually see them,
Mhm.
and know that they're real, if they can't get to, and maybe if they agree to come to Coffee Talk, we ask to solicit questions maybe ahead of time from folks in the town that may not
That's right.
want to come or can't, whatever, and we can ask on their behalf. No names, of course, unless they want to.
So why don't we wait and put that in a communication later, or do you want to include it in the letter?
We can wait. Let them get their feet wet.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So, do I hear a motion? Did I hear a motion to approve? No.
Sure.
So there you go. And there's the sure double. Nice job on the letter, Mary. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it was actually very well written.
It's very, very nice. I hope my annual report, I might need to help Mary.
No, just don't ask me to proofread it.
Yeah.
Chris, you can proof it.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. Let's take a vote. Keith, aye.
Stone Eye.
Hawkins eye.
Thank you. It's unanimous. And I'll ask if, is there any general public comment?
No,
I'm not seeing any hands raised.
Okay. Then we'll
Okay.
move on to our highway facilities superintendent.
Well, we have
Yes.
2 Daves, capital D or lowercase d. Let's try lowercase d.
Concur, Dave. It's a 50-50 bet.
He could be both of them.
Could be Dave
Mary's been more
Goulding,
than one.
could be Dave Litchwell, could be Dave Goulding, could be David Letterman.
Could be, yeah.
Dave, you've been promoted. Let's see.
thank you. The
Oh,
right.
bother.
Oh, here comes the other one.
There he is.
Yay! It's
It's
lowercase Dave.
Good guess, Mary.
So who's uppercase Dave?
Someone in the audience.
Well, talking permitted.
And lowercase Dave is on mute.
He's not on mute, but I didn't hear him.
Ah,
But now he's on mute. I had this problem earlier on a meeting I was on. That we still can't hear Dave even though he's not on mute.
Well, how about the uppercase Dave?
Sometimes if Dave can't, Dave, if you just log out and log in again, sometimes that's it.
he's chuckling. He's like, no, I don't want to. I think that we should do, what was that TV show where it had the 3 little people down the bottom and they would make up words? Mystery Science.
Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah.
Not that I would know or have ever watched it.
Right. So I think that Dave should talk and we should dub in what he's saying.
Okay.
He's like, yeah, nope, not a chance.
Well,
How now?
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
There he is.
yeah.
How'd you fix that?
I don't know. I'm having a really hard time with this tonight.
Hi, Dave. Nice to see you.
Well, can you see me? We have some audio, but I don't see any.
Yeah,
I
you're
see you.
you're
We
actually
see you. Yep.
yeah, you're on the screen twice.
All
When you
right.
speak, it's just a black
So-
screen.
I can't see myself. That's all.
Don't do
That's just
anything,
fine.
Dave, because we can see you.
All right. So here we are. We made it through another month. We made it through 2020, thankfully. We didn't have a lot going on other than storm-related issues. We did a few trees on Crosby that we could do, some roadside brush removal. And don't get excited, Peg, but National Grid did contact me, and they're actually out marking trees right now.
Nice.
She's saying
So-
yay.
They're, And telling me next week they should be in town to do some tree work, so hopefully
Nice.
that works. 2 new employees attended a training course on the proper use and placement of road salt, which is very important. The entire staff attended a course on the use of liquids, whether it be liquid calcium or salt brine or beet juice. There's all kinds of tools out there now that different communities are using for anti-icing on paved surfaces. So that was pretty interesting. Who's got the train running through their house?
This is Peg.
Mine's just down around the corner.
We removed the shared street barriers and signs. I did meet with the Energy Committee, 2 of the members of the Energy Committee at the Highway Barn to go over some possible ideas of trying to reduce the electrical consumption there. We had 5 snow and ice events. It was actually a busy month for not a lot of snow, but I would much rather have snow than rain and freezing rain. So it's very challenging to deal with those conditions. Ongoing truck maintenance. We spent the day calibrating the spreaders, which we do a couple times throughout the season. The rates do change with wear and tear on the vehicles and temperature. It was busy building wise. There was a lot of things going on with inspections and some repair work. Bay State Elevator. We have another problem with the heating system at 23 Linden. The system has 2 pumps and one of the pumps has failed, so I'm waiting for parts to come in, and when those parts come in, they'll replace that pump. Other than that, business as usual.
Okay. Questions for Dave? Peg has 2.
So, Dave, I'm just wondering, so is the pump failure at the town offices, is that the same issue that you were having in the summer with the air conditioner, or is that totally unrelated?
No, so the pump that failed a couple weeks ago is actually it's a circulator pump that circulates the hot water for the heat throughout the system.
Okay.
The pump that failed last summer was the coolant pump, which is located on the roof that circulates the refrigerant for the air conditioning system.
Okay. And then I know that you said that you've only had like 5 events. How are you doing with the budget? Are you feeling comfortable for
Oh yeah,
what you've put in? Okay.
No, I don't worry about that at all. But keep this in mind: the 2015 winter from hell. It wasn't until January 23rd that we got our first snowstorm.
Right. And then it was like weekly until March.
Every 2 days.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And were you chipping wood on Crosby today?
No,
Okay.
there was a tree company. Somebody was out there with a big crane.
Yeah, from about 8 o'clock this morning till mid-afternoon, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, that's Dave. I know it's Dave.
Yeah,
I
I'm
went
not sure.
looking, but I didn't see you.
Yeah, they had a giant crane in town. I saw it leaving. I didn't know where they were set up.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
Okay. No other questions, Steve, Scott?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, I thank you for coming.
I wouldn't miss it.
Thanks.
Have
We
a good
know
one,
you
Dave.
would.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
It turns out
Dave.
he was both capital D and lowercase d.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that must have been the problem, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Audio was on one and video was on the other, but we got the report in, so that's good.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to the town administrator report.
Okay. All kinds of stuff going on still.
And the 2 copies were the same, right? There was one in Microsoft Word and one in
One
Google.
was in PDF.
In
yeah.
Google.
Oh, really?
I wanted
Okay.
to make
there-
sure
No,
that,
I had to make a Word copy, Margaret, to put it up on Facebook into the
Oh,
COVID
Okay.
update.
Okay.
When I did it on the weekend, I had the Word copy on my computer. So thanks, Mary. All
Okay.
right, so it's there are COVID updates. On my TA report this week, I did put the Commonwealth's phase 1 vaccination settings and locations, or the proposed ones, along with the links to the state's website. I also included the little chart that shows the phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 intended vaccine rollouts. That said, DPH is taking questions and comments and will be periodically updating the vaccine phase information as comments and questions come in. This past week, Governor Baker issued order number 60 that extends the provisions of order 59, which is on revised, reduced capacity limits in indoor and outdoor venues and public spaces, and also in sector specific places. And I've put the chart in my TA report to show everybody what those capacity limits are. And order number 60 extends those reduced capacity limits to at least January 24th, possibly longer. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Okay. Finance. Tonight, I am giving a couple of FY22 budget updates, but I am not going to be doing FY22 budget recommendations tonight because we're still working on calculations for wages, and I don't want to piecemeal that. We have an opportunity. Scott, you weren't on the board last year and we started to discuss this, but we had been in conversations with CMRPC and the town of Clinton regarding a possibility of a shared bucket truck, possibly securing some grant funds to get that. And we know that that is a capital request that Dave has put in. So I reached out, we got some information on the Community Compact Efficiency and Regionalization Grant, and I reached out to Clinton again. And they might still be interested in sharing a bucket truck. CMRPC has confirmed that they can assist us with the grant application. And if the grant is awarded to the two towns, they can assist with the procurement and the intermunicipal agreement. So that would be, that would be very beneficial to both towns. And I think it would serve both towns well. CMRPC is going to do the best they can in the application and making the connection to both towns' MVP or municipal vulnerability plans to discuss the issue of trees and climate and things like that. So we're going to try to make those connections. Last year also, and I put up the board's request to the Division of Local Services. Last year, the board sent in a request to DLS, the Technical Assistance Bureau, to conduct a financial management review or a financial functions review for the town. And this happened pre-COVID. And so last week I received correspondence from my contact at DLS saying that due to their workload, they were going to offer us a grant to have a third-party consultant come in and do the technical assistance review. As much as I would have liked DLS themselves, their bureau, to come in and do it, I understand their workload. And so if they're going to offer us a grant, this would be under the best practices program. I think that it would be in the town's best interest to take them up on that and have them perform what DLS technical assistance.
What would be in scope for that review?
Is there a scope? Only a very general scope that you see in that board's letter, but we would refine it. We would include things like calculations. We would look at the commercial residential tax split. We would look at new growth. We would look at CPA. We would look at all kinds of really involved things to see how the financial departments could best communicate with each other. And be as much in sync as possible.
This is not necessarily looking at like accounts receivable, insurance billing, what systems might have just been overwhelmed because when we were a $7 million budget, it was fine this way, but now that we're a $15 million budget, this process doesn't work anymore, and we should look at automating or changing it entirely.
Yes, we just have to look at the whole, the whole array of things and all the complexities and see how we can kind of wrap them up and make our operations as efficient as possible. We found out today that we knew that the CARES Act had been extended and our coronavirus relief funds, our ability to tap those funds, has been extended to December 2021. So we found out the good news today is that we don't have to put in our next quarterly report through December 2020 until March of 2021. That was originally going to be late this month. But we also found out at the same time that quarterly reporting is going to be required of us through September 2nd, 2022. And so we are going to have to file quarterly reports every single quarter from now until September 2nd, 2022. So this is going to be a long, much longer process than we could ever have imagined early on. As of this weekend, 13 bid packets. Mary had issued 13 bid packets to requesters on the library septic project, which is really, really good news. Now, a small handful of those are actually not contractors themselves, but agencies that kind of track the bid flows. So, Mary, you think maybe 5 of those went to those other agencies? And then the others went to have gone to an array of vendors. So that's very good news. So last week, I wouldn't call this an issue. It's an issue that we're resolving. We learned that a certificate of occupancy hasn't yet been issued on the curatorial building due to the fire alarm system work not having been completed yet. So I asked Dave to get the quote from Norrell, who is the fire alarm company service provider for the town. He's gotten the quote, and I asked for that work to be done as soon as possible for the protection of the town, the building, and the building's contents.
And Margaret, are we sure that's the only item stopping the certificate of occupancy?
Yes, that was confirmed through the inspection. There was a joint inspection done last week, so it's that one piece that is holding up the CO.
Yeah, we've heard for so many months the only thing stopping them from using it was the heating and cooling system, and
I know.
now to hear this one more, I just want to make sure this goalpost doesn't keep getting moved.
Yeah, right. I completely understand, but it's my understanding that that is the final piece.
Okay.
Tomorrow morning, Tim Wheeler from the planning board and I are going to be attending the Assabet Housing Consortium's meeting. Our petition is on their agenda, and the hope is that they will approve our petition for membership. So I will keep you posted on that. Finally, I did hear late today back from the Sennies on the River Bridge mitigation payment. There's a little more communication we need to have with them on that. They are clearly struggling financially. At the same time, the town I recognize on behalf of the town that they need to fulfill their obligation in the development agreement. So we're going to continue to try to work with them. Additionally, Solomon Pond Mall's open space mitigation payment for FY21 has not yet been received. That was billed out on October 19th, and June sent a reminder on December 22nd. There is still, I don't know if I had said at a prior board's meeting, I didn't know the exact number of annual payments left on that. There are actually 9 annual payments left on the open space mitigation payment. So the next step with this particular one is I'm going to be sending a certified letter requesting the payment. And the same might be true for the River Bridge development agreement, because we have to follow all of our available paths in order to try to have them meet their obligations.
Does either agreement include the ability to charge late fees or interest?
I can't answer specifically on Solomon Pond, but the River Bridge one does not.
Okay.
And then finally, and I didn't include this in my TA report, guess what time it is? It's actually time to start getting ready for annual town meeting. Last year in late January, I presented the board with the select board town meeting action calendar. So I plan to do that. I'll give you a draft next week, and by January 25th, it might be time to open the warrant.
Oh my gosh.
I
Really?
can't even believe it. I know. Doesn't it seem like yesterday?
Yeah.
It does.
Well, it was closer to yesterday than normal anyway.
It was. So those are the highlights.
Okay. Questions for Margaret?
So Margaret, do we think again that for the town meeting that we're going to try outdoors? So basically pull out the plan from last year and just redo?
I think it worked well. There's no reason that can't be done again with some advanced planning. The other option, of course, is to do what other towns have done with the drive-in town meeting. That would be a different set of logistics. So I'll communicate with Barry early on, and I mean, open town meeting worked well if we can get a
Can always get
rain date.
weather like we had last year. We could do it outside
Mm.
all the time.
Yes, I know.
Are we
Can't
just
guarantee
thinking,
it.
are we just thinking that if we need a special town meeting, it would be right before the annual?
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, if we're planning on having an annual town meeting at the beginning of May, which is the normal date, we can't really jump too far ahead of that with a special town meeting because it's still going to be pretty cold. So I think that having a special proceed might take a couple of nights.
Well, again, why can't we just do it at the town meeting and not need a special? Just add those remaining things to the town meeting. And you're right. We've talked a couple of times about a couple of nights where one night might be all fiscal and one might be all bylaws and
Yeah.
other things like that, so that you're not there till midnight in the dark.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
You might not even need lights then.
Are we doing anything to help get our fire and police members vaccinated? Because I know like some towns are doing it on their own, but we're too small to do that.
Well, no, they're going to be done. They actually have appointments on the 20th and 23rd through Neshoba. There's going to be a location in Boxborough that our public safety personnel are going to be attending for their vaccines.
Great.
When the chiefs next present, I'd be interested in knowing what the take rate is, like how many people are saying that they have religious or other exemptions and don't want to get it versus those who want to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And for informational purposes, I don't want to impinge on other ones.
Yep.
Personal
And that
beliefs,
is-
but I'd like to know how big.
that's going to be a common issue amongst all municipalities. There'll always be that. Mhm.
It's at my work as well. I mean, we run group homes, and so we're dealing a little bit with that right now.
Okay. We can move on to old business and final approval of the board and committee handbook.
I mean, I think there's always going to be small revisions here and there, but I mean, I think it's as final as it gets.
Thank you.
Margaret, you gonna get that bound and, like take
I
a
don't
copy
know.
with you? Dear Lord.
Is there an award we can get for that? We got one for our town report, our annual town report. This is just as valuable, I think, as the town report is.
Well, I have to say, I did see in the thing today that there was still some formatting issues on page 33, which I think it was 33. And still the typo that I put into the board and committee handbook is still there, which I should have found it, but I did not.
So page 33, you said, Chris, there was a
Well, it was
formatting
just a
issue?
formatting thing where there was a different font for something.
Oh, all right.
And
Well-
and then the typo, there was an extra of in my paragraph that I added under clerk, the last paragraph under clerk.
So of.
Yeah, there was 2 ofs. I think one of them shouldn't be there.
Okay.
But I didn't read through the entire thing. I just looked to see if my errors were still there.
I was essentially cross-eyed after going
Yeah.
through
Oh, I
the
know.
whole thing and trying to.
Believe me, I know.
So
Probably spell check might have caught it. I don't know.
I don't know, maybe grammar might have caught it, yeah. I mean, Margaret, if you want, I can look again and update the table of contents if the formatting changes anything.
No, I don't think it will.
All right,
I don't think it will. It's just one of the little boxes with typed letters in it was a different font than the others.
all right,
And
I
it was
can look.
around page 33, but I'm not positive because after Margaret looked through it, it might have changed to
Yeah.
31 or 33 or something.
I'll look tonight, and then if I find anything, I'll redo the table of contents, and Chris, I'll look for your of, and get rid of one of them. And then.
All right. That's
should be
probably
good
the
to
only
go.
thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, otherwise I thought the formatting looked okay, but
Well, I mean, this is going to be a living and breathing document. So
Right.
it's good today and then 6 months from now, we've got some other change and something that we need to add. So it's never
No,
going to be final, but it's good. So then when it's all done, so
well, why don't
what's
we,
the,
I don't know, do you want to take a vote pending those
yeah, look
two
at Margaret.
changes? Yes, I think so too. I'm all done with this.
I'm working on trying to find the of here, so.
Hurry up,
Gotta
Scott,
be
hurry up. Say so moved
So moved.
and done. Seconded. Aye.
Okay. Keep aye.
Stone eye.
Hawkins eye.
All
Woohoo!
right.
Oh, here comes
Yay!
Mary. Mary's gonna
Oh,
hand up.
thank you.
In addition to putting it, Margaret, you want to probably push it to all your boards and committees, but do you also want it to be like up under volunteers on the website?
Yes, please.
Okay.
There should be a link there. There should also be a link from the select board's policy tab.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Hey, and just think, Margaret, on your goals and objectives, boom chakalaka. That's done.
See ya.
Yeah.
See you, bye.
All right.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Okay. And you said you were not going to give a fiscal year 2022 budget update?
No, I have just a couple of pieces of new information though.
Okay.
Let me just find it here. Last year, the Worcester Regional Retirement System, I believe, showed it was like roughly 10% increase in the assessment. This year, the number just came in today, showing a 3.38% increase. So from 543,238 to 551,425.
And Margaret,
other-
last year was last year because they needed to like catch up for whatever.
There was
They always say that. They've said that for a
Oh.
decade.
there was
I
something.
know.
This is the lowest. This is
I think
one
it's
of
the
lowest.
lowest. I think it's the lowest I ever remember it being. It's usually between 8 and 15%. And so anything under 5 is pretty good. But
Yeah. I have, there's
I've added them
no-
to my list of next year's goals to really understand the drivers behind that and what we should and can be doing and whether or not they're really appropriately charging us. Because I keep thinking when we shrink the number of employees we have by half, the idea that still keeps going up by 10% every year seems odd.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should be getting a copy of their, independent audits each year too. I know I have the prior years, but I'll ask Dennis if he can see if he can get the most recent financial statements from them, and we could share those.
I do know that one of the issues is that really with municipal retirements is they're limited in what they can invest their money in.
Mhm.
And so they're supposed to be more conservative. And so when the markets go crazy and like, Amazon's up, 40% for this year, they're not investing in those type of things. And they're investing in very conservative things, which means in big boom years, they don't see big booms. In theory, that means in big bust years, they don't also see big busts. So,
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
but that is one of my goals, is to understand all of that way better next year.
Okay. The other thing I have, and this is still preliminary, it's not final yet, but the dispatch district. The proposed FY22 dispatch district assessment would be at this point in time $198,479, which is a $57 decrease from FY21.
Woo-hoo.
So that's likely to remain stable. So those are the only two updates I have for tonight. We'll work on the wage calculations and get them to the board in a batch.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Then we'll move on to new business. Margaret was going to talk to us about the police union negotiation, contract negotiations.
Yeah. So we've received a request to begin the negotiations process for the upcoming police contract. I'm responsible under the Act for being a negotiator for the town. I have historically asked a board member, a board designee, to serve with me on the town's negotiations team, in addition to the chief and me. Typically, negotiations are held during the day, and they're held repetitively for as long as it takes for negotiations to work their way through and for us to come to terms on an agreement. So I would appreciate a board designee to serve on the town negotiations team.
And I would be happy to do it, but I wanted to, give both of you a chance if you thought you could do it.
I feel I'm too new to do something like, but I'm happy to think the idea of the police union contract and the fire union contract are happening about the same time, because it helps, I think, make sure there's parity in them or between them.
Yes.
So.
I mean, I would love
Yes, I'm
to,
fine.
I mean, you know that I'm such a stickler on these items, but unfortunately, as Margaret said, if it occurs, throughout the day and recurringly, I could skip away for 1 or 2 meetings, but not skip away consistently. So I don't think that would be fair to the town to only be partially there.
Well, at some point, we will probably have executive session
You
in order
will.
to discuss
Okay.
the things that are important to you. And
Yep.
I'm anxious to hear what those are.
All righty.
Okay. Did you want to vote for that, Margaret, or are we good?
Yes, that would be good. Thank you.
I move that we initiate union contract negotiations with the police.
And designate Chris as
Oh,
our,
designate Chris as our board
rep.
representative, and Margaret's already designated by her job, right? We don't need a special vote on that part.
Correct.
Right.
seconded.
Okay. I will take a vote. Keep aye.
Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Thank you very much. I think we're at board questions and comments. Okay, is that just me, just a minute? Just a minute?
No, that means I only have one. I'm letting you know how many I have.
I got my 2 during Margaret's presentation.
And mine's easy peasy. So Margaret, the HR comments that you wanted back from the report, are you good? Do you have all of them?
I don't. I had sent out a reminder, but I'll do one final reminder. I had hoped
Yeah,
for all comments. That's okay. I had hoped for all
Shame.
comments by today because I
Shame.
really want to get them to the consultant. But I'll send a last call tonight. How's that?
Okay.
Last call for comments.
Well, I
Last
did go.
call.
I did go to the her presentation at personnel, and I didn't come up with any questions at that time. If you don't hear from me by the time you're ready to send it in, then that means I have no. Otherwise, I'll get on it and I'll take another look.
Yeah,
Right.
Chris, I didn't see, honestly, from the presentation, there were no questions. It was really opening it up and going through, and I mean, I didn't have many,
Yeah.
5, 6, for that, figuring that you and Scott would have a boatload more. So, Margaret, are we going to see them before you send them in? Are we going to see
The
them?
whole list of questions?
Yeah.
Sure. Yes.
Right.
I'm going to be sending them in as a compiled list. So
Right.
yeah.
With personnel too, their questions, I'm assuming they do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know what? I knew that there would be particular questions that would come up, and it would be nice to know if they're already been asked. So
Yep.
that would be
Okay.
great.
Okay. I can compile them tomorrow. I think I'll shoot for getting them in by Thursday. Give everybody just a couple more days. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, did everybody buy an item this weekend? To see our little story made it in again? God, love Jan. Love that woman.
And you know what? One week on a Saturday, I went to the post office, and someone had nicely put a whole pile of them in a basket over by the post office box.
Really?
And so I grabbed one thinking they'll do that every week, but no.
Yeah, we're in the front section, not on the last page, I think on the left-hand side. So, appreciate that. And, and following up to Scott's point, I think last week about doing other things than the roundup, I had already started a piece with Chief Clark about the numbering your houses. It's some
Yep.
fun stuff that you can find online about how it started and things like that. And Margaret, I think there was one, the plastic bag,
Plastic bag
something,
ban.
maybe.
Mhm.
So maybe if we can hit one like every other week, and then Peter's EDC stuff is going in, I think, this
Mhm.
week. So we should keep Berlin in the news for a while.
There you
I should just
go.
get a subscription, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I've had a subscription since the day I moved in.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of
Okay.
those, I, especially early on, did not read it all the time, but I just really like the idea there's a community newspaper, and to support it, I just have a subscription.
Yeah.
There you go.
And does it come on Friday or Saturday?
It comes it's between Thursday and Saturday, Friday most often.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Hmm.
All right. Well, I believe we've come to the end of our agenda. We have no need for an executive session.
Right.
Executive session. So I would take a motion to adjourn.
Go ahead, Mr. Hawkins.
Yeah, I move to adjourn.
Seconded.
Okay. Keefe, aye.
Stone Eye.
Hawkins, aye.